this. I just saw him plunge off to the right.
Ayrton Senna was leading the San Marino Grand Prix.
A few hours later, he was dead.
Formula One has always walked the razor's edge between the spectacular speed and the devastating danger. Throughout its history, the sport has witnessed crashes that changed not just individual lives, but the entire trajectory of motorsport safety. Today, we're examining 5 of the most dangerous and impactful crashes in F1 history. Moments that reminded the world that behind the glamour and the glory, real human lives hang in the balance. These are the crashes that shaped modern Formula One. Back in 1994, during the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola, this day became Formula One's darkest day. Ayrton Senna, the 3-time world champion and one of the most revered drivers in motorsport history, was leading the race when disaster unfolded. At the high-speed Tamburello corner on lap 7, Senna veered off the track at approximately 309 kilometers and made no attempt to steer through the left-hand bend. His car went straight on and struck the concrete barrier at an estimated 211 kilometers per hour. The impact was brutal. The front suspension arm, detached by the crash, penetrated Senna's helmet, causing fatal skull fractures. Despite a rapid medical response and emergency intervention, he was pronounced dead.
Ayrton Senna, 3 times world motor racing champion, has died after crashing during the San Marino Grand Prix.
What made Senna's death especially shocking was that it occurred during a time when Formula One had entered a relatively safe era. Just 1 day earlier, Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger had also died during qualifying, turning the entire weekend into a grim reminder of the sport's deadly past. Senna's accident brought a thunderous wake-up call. It wasn't just the loss of F1's biggest star, it was the realization that fatal accidents could still happen, even with advanced technologies and medical care. The aftermath sparked one of the most comprehensive safety revelations in Formula One history. The FIA introduced stricter crash testing standards, mandated higher cockpit sides, and accelerated development of the head and neck support, or HANS device. Tracks were modified, runoffs expanded, and car construction was completely re-evaluated. Senna's legacy is not only of his talent, but in the lives that he saved because of the changes that followed his tragic death. Senna's death was the breaking point, but the conversation around motorsport safety didn't begin at Imola. To understand how far safety has come, we must revisit a fatal crash from Formula 2, because this is one that we just can't ignore. On April 7th of 1968, the motorsport world was dealt a devastating blow. Jim Clark, the 2-time Formula One champion and widely regarded as one of the most naturally gifted drivers of all time, was killed during a Formula 2 race at Germany's Hockenheimring. Driving a Lotus 48 for Team Lotus, Clark was competing in wet conditions when his car suddenly veered off the track on a long high-speed section of the circuit, traveling at approximately 270 kilometers. The car left the road and slammed into a line of trees. Clark was killed instantly. The exact cause of the crash remains uncertain. Some believe a deflated rear tire caused the sudden loss of control. Others point to mechanical failure or poor weather conditions. What's certain, however, is that the crash didn't just claim a driver's life, it claimed the driver that many considered to be untouchable. Clark's smooth driving style and his calm demeanor made him seem invincible behind the wheel. If someone of his talent and control could be killed, then no one was safe. His death forced the racing world to confront the harsh reality of circuit design. The Hockenheim circuit, like many others of the era, featured long straight lines with unprotected trees. In the years that followed, those sections were redesigned or removed altogether. This crash marked one of the first major catalysts for the circuit safety reform, planting the seeds for the safer track layouts that drivers benefit from today. The 1970s would bring another watershed moment that would fundamentally change how the sport approached fire safety. August 1st of 1976, at the Nürburgring's fearsome Nordschleife, produced one of the most horrific yet inspiring stories in F1 history. Niki Lauda's Ferrari crashed at a section, sliding off the track and bursting into flames. What followed was a nightmare scenario. Lauda was trapped in his burning car for nearly a minute before his fellow drivers pulled him out of the inferno. By then, Lauda had suffered severe burns to his head and his hands and had inhaled some toxic fumes that damaged his lungs. The Austrian's injuries were so severe that a priest administered his last rites. Lauda lost most of his right ear, suffered permanent scarring, and endured months of painful recovery. Yet incredibly, he returned to racing just 6 weeks later, finishing fourth at the Monza with blood seeping through his helmet. Lauda's crash highlighted the inadequate fire safety measures of the era. It led to improved fire marshaling, better fire-resistant clothing, and eventually the development of modern fire suppression systems. His survival and his comeback became legendary, but the crash itself demonstrated just how close F1 regularly came to tragedy. Speaking of legendary moments and safety evolution, if you're enjoying this deep dive into F1's most dangerous crashes, then make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're diving into F1's most compelling stories every week, from legendary rivalries to tactical innovations. Your support helps us bring more content like this. So smash that subscribe button and let's explore F1 together. But right now, let's discuss another tragic moment. May 8th of 1982, during qualifying at Zolder, produced one of the most violent crashes in F1 history. Gilles Villeneuve, the beloved Canadian driver known for his fearless driving style, was pushing hard for pole position when he encountered Jochen Mass's slower march. Villeneuve's Ferrari launched into the air after hitting Mass's rear wheel, somersaulting violently through the air before crashing nose first into the ground. The impact was so severe that Villeneuve was thrown from his car, suffering fatal neck injuries. What made the crash particularly tragic was its preventability. Villeneuve was known for never lifting off the throttle, even in the most dangerous of situations. His commitment to speed, while making him a fan favorite, ultimately cost him his life in a qualifying session that, in hindsight, wasn't worth the risk. The crash led to improved qualifying procedures and highlighted the need for better communication between drivers about slower traffic. It also reinforced the importance of cockpit safety and driver restraint systems. As we take a look at the modern era, it would bring its own shocking reminder that dangers still lurked, even with improved safety measures. October 5th, 2014, at Suzuka. The moment produced F1's first fatality in 20 years. Jules Bianchi's Marussia crashed in wet conditions at the Dunlop curve, sliding off track and striking a recovering vehicle that was removing Adrian Sudel's crashed Sauber. The impact was devastating. Despite wearing a modern helmet and a Hans device, and sitting in a car that met all contemporary safety standards, Bianchi suffered severe head injuries. He remained in a coma for 9 months before succumbing to his injuries in July of 2015. Bianchi's accident was particularly shocking because it occurred during the modern safety era. The sport had become so safe that many believed fatal accidents were a thing of the past. His death proved that complacency was dangerous and that safety improvements must never stop in the sport. The crash led to the introduction of the virtual safety car, stricter protocols for recovering vehicles, and eventually the Halo cockpit protection system. Bianchi's incident helped make F1 safer for future generations, though the cost was tragically high. These crashes remind us that Formula One's incredible safety record didn't happen by accident. It was built on the tragedies of drivers like you saw on the list today. Each tragedy led to improvements that have saved countless lives since. While we celebrate F1 speed and the spectacle, we must never forget the brave men who paid the ultimate price to make the sport safer for those who followed. Now, if you guys like the video, then give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you are a fan of F1, then you're definitely going to want to turn on those bell notifications so that you never miss another video. And I will catch you on the next one.